Avenger nods to you casually. A stately gray-haired warrior straightens her shoulders proudly and tightens her grip on her weapon.
Light shines brightest in the darkness, monster. You will be defeated in the Abyss, just as you were once defeated on Galarian.
What kind of creature are you? An angel? But you have the flesh of the Abyss.
Do you not remember me, monster? I am Targana, the Silver. I thank heaven for our meeting, for I will soon behold the death of the one who robbed me of my brother, Lariel.
Now I understand. How hot the fire of your rage must be burning, Angel. One day you will learn that such fire can scorch you too.
What do you want from me?
I want your blood, your flesh, and your breath. I need you to whimper in pain and plead for mercy, and I will have all that and more from the servants of Iomade. But not today. I was not looking for you, but for Mutasafin.
What do you need him for?
Do I really need to answer that? Well, I suppose there's no harm. Mutasafin is clever enough to work with Nahindrian crystals, and he is a demon. We can finally stop using former mortals like Xanther and Arilu as servants. I had a task for him. It's unfortunate that you interfered with my plans, but that's all right. They will soon come to pass anyway.
The paths of evil can be a strange labyrinth. They are not always rational or straightforward. The Echo of Discari himself could have been considered mortal. After all, the Demon Lord molded him from the souls of many mortal followers. Yet despite his origins, he still despises Xanther and Arilu.
What a shame. I killed the demon you were looking for.
No, you did not. Mutasafin can't be killed, at least not by conventional methods. He's probably groveling at Hepzimira's feet by now, begging her not to punish him for wasting a few demons on such a stupid escapade. She will not be happy about that. Oh no, she most certainly will not.
What have you done with Eliandra, Echo?
I will say only one thing. My victim is still alive. But so much time has passed. I'll allow you to imagine the rest.
This is terrible news, but there is still some hope. If we can track down our enemy, we can discover where he is keeping his prisoner.
Death to all monsters.
I have no desire to fight you, mortal. If the Abyss doesn't finish you off quickly enough, I might hurry things along, but not yet.
Our enemy is gone. However, the spell he cast gave me some insight into his movements. He retreated to a nearby portal and used it to teleport somewhere. I could not determine the precise location of the portal, but I'm sure we can find it. And where would we? And when we do, we can discover where the Echo is hiding. The Echo is cunning. It will be difficult to catch him off guard. Targana, how did you get here? Ah, yes, my radiant sister. My heart is gladdened by your presence, but I am also surprised to see you. How did you find us here? Why did you decide to come? You avoided me when I was in Dresden. It's a long story, and I would prefer not to speak openly about it here. It would be better to have this conversation in a safe place, if such a thing even exists in the Abyss. but to put it briefly, I heard that you, Z, were sent to the Abyss on a special mission. Suddenly, it was as if I were awakened from a dream. I had been preoccupied with my own grief that I had forgotten what was important. Our enemies are not yet defeated, and there are many who still fight bravely on the front lines of the war. At that moment, I decided that I would do whatever it takes to find you in the Abyss. Greetings, Z. Do you remember snatching old Yaniel from the clutches of that damned Minago? Well, a day in Dresden was enough for me to realize that I couldn't just leave. I'm not meant to live out the rest of my life in peace and safety. We all may fall, but once a paladin, always a paladin. I was lucky enough to meet Targana and begged her to take me with her into the Abyss. I want to repay the debt I owe you. Commander, you tore me away from the hermit life and convinced me to join the Crusade army. Then you decided to go to the Abyss and leave us all behind. I thought that was rather rude, so I followed you here. Perhaps my special warden powers, or whatever Targona calls them, will come in handy while we are in the Abyss. And if not, I always have my sword. It was not hard to travel into the Abyss. However, it was difficult to find you. Our prayers are not heard in this cursed place, and everything here is hostile to my power. But it was our enemy who helped me, albeit unknowingly. I was able to follow the Echo's trail, and it led me here. Oh, Hand of the Inherited. Did you say that you tracked the Echo? I did what I could. He was unable to utilize the traditional method of demon transportation. The power of the Holy Wardens is almost identical to the power of the Ward Stones, so the Echo could not teleport away. It was as if he was close to a real Ward Stone. However, he still managed to elude my gaze. There's every indication that a portal is located nearby, and the power of the Ward Stone does not affect such magical structures. Unfortunately, I do not know the exact location of this portal, so we'll need to discuss how we can find it. There's a place here that is known as the Nexus. It is where the Rift of the Midnight Vein leads into this collection of portals. We can meet there and discuss everything. That is a wise decision. Let us convene a council. We'll discuss what our enemy is planning and how we can find his lair. All right. That's it. Good God, buddy. You got some... He had some items on him. That's a flesh market. Oh. Let's go check the flesh market.
I can handle it.
Oh dear. If you want to get these sweet Rasmars for the 10,000 delights, cough up 50,000. Just look at how delicious they are. These girls haven't yet been whipped. Your clients will be clamoring for them, and after they become too worn out, they'll make a magnificent stew. I'll give you 30 in the 30 if you stop talking rubbish, Diunk, or keep... Oh, Shivaro. Or keep going, and if you can steer clear of my palace of delight, you can pleasure yourself on your own, you fat chunk of rotten meat. Do you want to get on Shivaro's bad side? Or do you really want that? The Asmar slaves standing nearby to try to avoid looking at the angry demoness. Even in their miserable position, they retained the mark of inner purity and nobility inherent to their kind. 50,000. $50,000. But these delightful, innocent creatures your shabby and worn-out demoness can't hope to compete with. That is my final offer. Stay away from the 10,000 delights. You can have your own little morsels pleasure you from now on, you greedy, horny piece of... She's still there. And the disgusting fleshy demon greets you with a wave, his arm encased in roll after roll of fat. Allow me to present my living wares, the finest household slaves to serve you and entertain your body and spirit. And they can satiate even the most exquisite cravings. What were you arguing with that, demons? She wanted to buy my beautiful Azamar concubines for her palace of pleasures, the 10,000 delights. Unfortunately, her common sense of good taste couldn't compete with her greed. She offered me at a paltry price, next to nothing, instead of gratefully paying the full sum for these slaves. Offering 30,000 for a group of innocents, pure Azamars, shipped here with the utmost care. No one has laid a single finger on them. No one has taken a single bite out of them. It's simply outrageous. I'll buy the Azamars. Oh, I see you are a connoisseur. I'd like to warn you that these little birds will cost you a pretty penny. Their price scared off the madam of the 10,000 delights, but for Shamira, to whom I intend to sell these fresh Azamar beauties, 50,000 spare change. I'm willing to sell them to you for the same price. If we do not intervene, these women will be doomed by the celestial blood that flows in their veins. There is nothing more tantalizing for a demon than befouling, abusing, and destroying any being with ties to the upper planes. We have no right to stand by and leave these unfortunates to a terrible fate of torture and death. Pay 50,000. Deal. The commander's name is known in certain places. Oh God, you won't regret it. In the abyss, goods like these are a rarity. I wish you the most exquisite enjoyment for your purchase. If you wish, I can give you an excellent recipe for braised shanks. Just send one of your household slaves along to pick it up. The slaves stare at you with a mixture of hope and fear in their eyes. Their faces drain of color as they wait for you to seal their fate. Whisper directions to the nexus to the slave. Find the way to my camp. Thank you. Oh God! I need more lawful options, please. Anyways. Show me what you have for sale. Just feast your eyes on them. The most exquisite pleasure slaves, raised in comfort. Young men and women of different races smile sweetly at you. Their cheerful looks aren't marred by the slightest hint of intelligence. These slaves remind you of happy and well-fed sheep grazing in their pastures. Who are you? I'm DeYoung, the slave trainer. When I was younger and much slimmer, I was a dashing raider. I spent my days abducting concubines from other planes for the harems of the most powerful lords of the abyss. My experience, however, has shown me that raising and training pleasure slaves from an early age is a much more profitable and much less risky business. That's why I now own the largest, most respectable slave farm, where I breed representatives of various races from different planes. Though I haven't entirely given up the raiding. Go. Furs. Looking to buy slaves, eh? Me? I've just sold off the shipment I captured during the last raid. I am Kurz, Captain of the Bloody Witch. Who are you? Who am I? I'm Kurz. No one, Captain of the Bloody Witch. I'm the most famous damn pirate in the Midnight Isles. You know Melara? That nut job? Her entire crew must be wimps and weaklings if they haven't slit such a leader's throat or fed her to the Ishiar's beasts yet. Can't help but notice that despite Kur's dramatic bravado, a spark of fear gleams in his eyes. Tell me more about being a pirate. What exactly do you want to know? The life of a pirate ship captain consists of four things: his vessel, his crew, his experience, and Pazuzu's patronage, of course. You already have wings of your own. Why do you need a flying ship? Kurz eyes you with suspicion, as if searching for signs of mockery in his face. Sure, and what do you propose I do with all the loot? Carry it on my back? Well, what about the slaves we tucked into the cargo hold? The ship is a big flying treasure chest. Tell me about your vessel. You'll recognize my bloody right away by the huge skull decorating her prow. Please tell me that's the name. Please tell me that's the actual name. We secured the trophy near Asgard, and there was a great fight for it. A few other captains wanted to lay their hands on it as well. Aside from the skull, I've done good work. A bloody bitch. You can't find a better. It is. That definitely is its name. You can't find a better attack vessel. Her broadside can take a dragon strike. Her 3/4 sails can catch any wind, and her ballastae don't rely on lousy spears, only alchemical fire. What kind of crew do you have on board? The toughest rogues and cutthroats you could ever want. They're my hand-picked collection, each one as bad as the next. They're the most notorious rabble, the most infamous scoundrel you could ever find in the abyss. They'd sell their own mothers into slavery for a chipped copper. Turn on me? Never. Nobody else could land them a better deal than I could. How many ships have you plundered? Well, the BB is well known in the Midnight Isles, and her black sails sows terror wherever she goes. I can't count how many poor sods I've sent to Dagna. Tell me a thrilling tale. Okay. Oh, I need to stand up real quick, chat. Hold on, chat. One second. Almost ready. Stretching out a bit. Hopefully this will wake me. Hopefully this will wake me. Ah, there we go. Hopefully. Ha, there we go. You like gory stories, eh? Fine. Once we were floating by Midgorg when our lookout spotted the wreckage of a ship caught in a hurricane, so we decided to search for cargo, but instead we only found a sailor who was clutching at the wreckage. We finished him off, brought him to his senses. No, we fished him out, brought him to his senses, hung him up on the mast, questioned him properly. Our ship's cook knows how to loosen tongues with his knife. Long story short, the poor sod spilled that he was a pirate himself. His ship had set sail from one of Alir's deserted islands, where they hid part of their spoils. Okay, we smelled windfall, so we rushed to Alir. But Alir, that place isn't for the faint-hearted. Predatory vines, carnivorous flowers that breathe out clouds of poisonous pollen, and walking bushes that surround you, pounce on you, and sting you with thorns till you die. Oh, and did I mention toxic springs? Or the flies that crawl into your ears while you sleep and lay their eggs inside your brain, driving you insane. On all that, the place was a nightmare, and we found ourselves right in the middle of it all. 3 times our prisoners told us where to check for the stash. Each time we dug, but all we found was dirt and bone. By the 3rd attempt, the damned island had already wiped out half the crew. We realized that asshole was playing us, so we gutted him. You know what we saw then? All his entrails were covered with whitish mold and overgrown with some spongy fungus. His heart, his lungs, his brain, the gunk was everywhere. According to our ship's dock, that fungus controlled every one of the sailors' steps. He got infected on Alir. Then he left the island to lure in fresh fodder for the plants. We fled as fast as we could, but for a long, long time, I couldn't believe those damn weeds got so smart they were able to trick us. You mentioned Pazus quite often. You worship him. Sure I do. Only total idiots don't worship the demon lord of the sky and winged creatures. Well, at least if we're talking about aeronauts. All the storms, wind currents, and beasts who feed on these currents. They all bend to his will. That's why I bombard Lord Pazuzu with my prayers as often as I can. I have no more questions. Master Zaga is delighted to behold Lady Hepzibah and Lady Shamir. It is a great honor for him. How may he assist you? Hepzibah is looking to buy some slaves, the best slaves. It's for an important job. Bark, Tabir Gleg, allow me to present this fine specimen, an extraordinarily belligerent, destructive, and vicious slave. He killed 7 hunters before his capture. Shut your mouth, meatball. Your breath stinks. I don't need gladiators or bodyguards. I'm looking for a pack of strong demons, ones who are not very bright and can obey orders. In that case, perhaps my lady would be interested in this batch of creatures recently captured in the lower city. They are all strong and quite stupid. Now, Samira, what do you want with these puny creatures? They're small fry, fit only to be cannon fodder for the Crusaders. I would suggest that's Hepzibah. They seem fine to me. Finish the preparations, then send them to the harem of Endurant Dreams, and be quick about it.
Can't make the demons wait.
A demon who looks like a ball of lumpy, melting flesh hovers in the air. He clenches a whip in his hand. The demon emanates an aura of confidence and authority. He snorts sternly at a skinny tiefling standing nearby, whose eyes are skillfully sewn shut with a black silk thread studded with diamond ships. The demon mutters something incomprehensible to you. Master Zarzakis welcomes you to the flesh markets, visitors from another plane. He noticed right away that you are a person of means, though he himself has no interest in doing business with you. Your presence benefits the flesh markets, so Master Zarzakis is prepared to spare you some of his time. This slave will interpret his words for you, for a low speaking in any language except the one used in his homeworld. The Suture's hideous place is marked with this. Okay. Overcoming his pride, he reaches out to you with a snarled hand, beseeching your help with his humiliating gesture. Master Zarzakis is happy to see Lady Arushale again and wishes her pleasant purchases at the flesh market. He regrets immensely that he wasn't informed of Lady Arushale's visit in advance. Otherwise, he would have prepared a special lot exclusively for her. Master Zarzakis is that actually supposed to be a reference to Mike Wazowski? Or it sounds like it. Remembers Lady Arushale's preferences very well, and he would be happy to satisfy the wishes of such a discerning client. Arushale sounds calm, but you can see her hands have started to tremble. Please tell Master Zarzakis that I have no interest in his slaves anymore. I won't pay for them, neither in gold nor in other means. Point at the Suture. Tell me that dretch. Snort, praying a saliva, he babbles quickly, which causes short, uncertain pauses. This dretch, like the other demons in this shipment, is set aside for Lady Hepzibah. Without a doubt, this lazy waste of flesh caught today in the lower city will never prove to be a useful worker, but he still belongs to his new mistress. She is a very influential person, therefore trying to deceive her would be disrespectful and dangerous. And Master Zarzakis would never commit such a foolish act. He presents your suggestion that he is capable of doing anything of the kind. Master Zarzakis is insulted and outraged. There are not many vices that can surprise the greed of demons, but pride is one of them. Imagine what tremendous power it was when the two are combined. As disgusting as it is for me to give this advice, listen to me. If this scoundrel feels insulted, offer him gold. Not as part of the deal, but rather as compensation for the insult and as recognition of his high status. Perhaps gold can compensate for the insult I have inflicted. And the demon's grumble abates slightly as a flicker of greed appears in his eyes. $30,000? Really? Master Sazarskis finds your idea very reasonable. He kindly agrees to accept the sum of 30,000 gold coins to atone for your insult you've inflicted, taking into account your familiarity with the local customs. Master Sazarski will not demand your hand or eye in recompense. For his part, Master Sazarski considers it undesirable to keep this wretch in his stock, for he was the cause of your disagreement. As a gesture of reconciliation, he would like to immediately release him and drive him out of this unpleasant incident might be considered settled and forgotten. Let's leave all grievances and misunderstandings behind. Congratulates you on a successful purchase. I have no idea why Hepzimira needs slaves, but from what I've heard, they don't live long. Becoming her property is a death sentence, no doubt about it. Meaning you saved me, so I guess I... How were you captured? I've been wandering the lower city searching for something, never you mind what. I mean, that's not what I meant to say. It's a personal matter, yeah, that's the right way to put it. So I was roaming around, chatting with all and sundry when the slave hunters appeared and started chasing us. They threw us who survived in a cage and brought us here. This is a typical occurrence in the Abyss. Social dynamics, it's called. The strong enslave the weak. What will you do now? I'll continue my search. I will. It won't be easy, but I'll prove to her that I'm smarter and wiser than she thinks. What are you looking for? Don't ask. That's none of your business. Farewell. You just be careful. That's what I'm saying. Why did Hepzimira buy your slaves? Lady Hepzimira is extremely secretive. No one knows what she's up to, and no one wants to ask unnecessary questions because Lady Hepzimira has already proved that she is quite powerful. Looping around her business could be dangerous when Lady Shamir brings Lady Hepzimira with her and says she needs stupid but strong slaves. Master Sazarski's never asks questions, does not hold a grudge for the meatball nickname. Master Sazarski is very wise and shows restraint. One of the demon guards clearly grows interested in the conversation and unconsciously leans forward. Sazarski whips him across the muzzle with a lightning-fast blow. The demon's head explodes like watermelon and drops from a great height. Interpreter comments on the execution with indifference. Master Sazarski would like to remind anyone that unnecessary curiosity can be harmful for servants, especially if it is curiosity regarding the master's business. Who are you, demon? Demon answers. Okay, master. But I respect your customs. Anyways, from a remote corner of the Abyss, extremely far from these parts, that practically no one in all Lucianiera has heard of the magnificent place that is Master Sazarski's homeland. He would happily return there because that place is superior to all other realms of the Abyss. However, Master Sazarski's found himself fascinated with the concept of slavery. In his homeland, the idea of owning other sentient beings does not exist. The common practice there is to kill anyone who is not like you. He has spent a lot of time studying the sophisticated art of slave holding and has become the most respected slave trader in the whole of Galarian. I understand. Are you a Sazarski's slave? Wishes you to cease your attempts to bypass him and communicate directly with his property. Like to know more about the flesh markets. He finds your curiosity commendable. He is willing to outline the basic principles of the flesh market and its hierarchy. He is also willing to explain the intricacies of the highly respected occupation of slavery. It would take a lot of effort to find a place more disgusting than this one. Even here, in the Abyss, in the old days, my warriors and I broke many slave collars and led countless slaves out of the Abyss. So what is this place? This place is called the Flesh Market because here one can buy living and healthy slaves, flesh, slaves for housekeeping, slaves for carnal pleasure, fighting slaves, sacrificial slaves, slaves of an edible nature. Every day, hundreds of slaves are shipped here and hundreds of customers come to buy them. Where do you get your slaves? Majority of slaves are captives seized during raids of other planes. Master Xerxes is happy to inform you that Galarian is one of our main supply channels. The Abyss itself supplies a fair share of slaves as well. Demons have no prejudice against enslaving their kin. Yeah, I've realized that. Demonic slaves are more hard-wearing and last longer than slaves from the most other places. Who runs the flesh market? Master Xerxes has the honor of being the informal head of the flesh markets because he is the main supplier to the upper city. These people are... This is so weird. Oh boy. I actually was not expecting them to be enslaving their own kind. That was actually a bit of a surprise. Anyways. All the individuals who dared challenge Master Xerxes promised renounced their false claims, became his slaves, and now proudly wear his personal insignia, carved into their faces with cold iron.